excited to have Paul here tonight. And a lot of guys, this meeting is very lightly attended every year, the September meeting. Traditionally, we get anywhere from 20 to 40 people. Paul really should be here later in the year because the stuff he's going to talk about is very good stuff. A lot of us, we like to go fish different lakes a lot. And even when we fish our own lake, the lake that we fish all the time, we go there and it's different every week. It changes a little bit. And every time you go fishing, you got to go find them. You got to go figure it out. You know, you might only have 2 hours or 4 hours or whatever it is, but you waste some time unless you get really lucky right away. You waste time finding where they were. And that's what Paul's going to do, is he's going to kind of help us break down a lake a little bit and figure that out to save us some time. And I'm really excited to watch Paul. I fish a lot of the league, Walleyes R Us league events, which many of you guys know about. And Paul will kick my tail about 9 out of 10 events because he knows how to do this, because he's a smart angler. He's a really smart angler, and tonight you guys are going to get into his head just a little bit and figure a little bit of that out. So I'm excited to see it, and I know a lot of these other guys are excited to see it, so let's have it, Paul. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Paul Deshane, and like everybody here, we've all got to start in fishing somewhere. Mine was Lake Minnetonka in 1958. My grandpa bought a cabin. I don't even think it was a year-round cabin on the channel of Seton Channel. And in 59 I was born, and within 61 he was building a house out there, and I grew up in the channel. I would sit on my dad's lap, catch sunfish like every good kid should learn how to get started, you know. And from there I grew up, and sometimes I'd fish on my own and sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I'd go climbing Grandpa's apple tree and he'd kick me out and I'd get out of there, you know. And but it was fun. It was what made fishing fun for me, just dabbling around, putzing, playing, and that's where I started. We'd grow up, and I went to Calhoun, Harriet, Minnehaha Creek. We fished the Mississippi down there, a lot of Minnetonka all over. I don't know how many bays or lakes you want to call it. It just connects and connects and connects and goes on and on. It's a great lake, and I wish I knew then what I know now. All I could do was sunnies, crappies, bass, and northern, and which was fine. They're fun fish to catch, and they did well for me. I have a fish that I'll pull out later. I'll just show you a picture of a very nice walleye. September, 27th, I want to say, of 2011, I caught a huge walleye. It revolutionized my life. It was a light switch going off to the walleye world. It changed me. Since then, I've begun to develop. I've continued to grow. Education. Well, we've all listened to in-fishermen through the years. They've been out there forever. We've had Al Linder talking. We've all heard, go around the rock reefs, the bars, the points, and how do you find those things? Good grief, I'm going to tell you a little story about going to White Earth. Tomorrow I'm going up there again for my 4th tournament, fourth year in a row. The first year, Mike Huber and me went up there, and we had 2 or 3 paper maps handed to us. Oh, here, they're somewhere out there. We got to go find that hump, and we got to start going around it and start looking for something. We bombed so bad. We had a hummingbird with us. That was terrible. We had a Lowrance with us. That was awful. The mapping system wasn't working. It was nothing. I think the first day we had about 2 walleyes that didn't even weigh. The second day we ended up with about 8 walleyes that didn't weigh. And it was disgusting. It was discouraging. It was like, are we really fishermen? It was humiliating. The next year we went up there. I had my hummingbird. Lake Master has a chip out there that you can put in your hummingbird. I borrowed my buddy's chip. I had the old chip, not the updated HD chip. And that was 85 to 90% relevant to that lake. It started showing us breaks. It started showing us humps. It started showing us things that were actually there. And with our pre-fishing, we were able to put 3 fish together for that tournament. We didn't get into no money or anything, but it was a start. It's a process, again, of getting educated. Last year we went out there, we took 3 trips out to White Earth, 7-hour trips, up and down, back and forth in this area. We're reading off of our Hummingbird, because that's somewhat of a legitimate map. And then we took those chips, SD cards, we stuck it into a computer, sent it to the cloud. Everybody knows where the cloud is, but me. I don't know where it's at. But they'd process it, it'd send you back a text saying your sonar log is now completed. You can get on your computer that night or that moment and look it up. I'll be doing that here in a minute. And you can start seeing contour lines, you can see your brakes, you can see everything down there. You can start flipping back and forth, and not real good with the vegetation. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't fish vegetation, I fish contour, I fish content, I fish brakes, I fish flats. You know, I look for the hardcore stuff that works. And then as I discover where the vegetation line is, then I will start working off of that at that point. This is going to be real informal tonight. I don't have a speech for you. I have friendship. I have one-on-one. I want to sit down with you here tonight, and if I start going through this and you say, oh, just a minute, I got to see that just a little longer, just say that. I'll slow down. I'll re-explain something, take some time with you. This is going to be like you and me at the coffee table, and I got my computer up. And we're going to just discover things tonight. I hope it's exciting for you. That's what we're going to do. I'll probably be sitting down for quite a bit. If you use a Macintosh, if you ever decide to get in, if you use a Macintosh and decide to get into this mapping process, use Firefox. Safari does not work very well. It shows you weird things. It doesn't bring it together correctly. Use Firefox. If you're on a PC, you'll probably do just fine. Whatever they offer you, I don't think there's a problem on that side. The Mac side's a little goofy. Seems like this kind of software gets written for the IBM, the PC first, and then it comes over to the Mac. And this, last year, about August, they really got it good. It's working for the Macs, just beautiful now. So, I have my Firefox up here now. I have highlighted the menu bar here. I go to Insight Store. They've changed it. As I hit my return, it goes to Navico, then it updates to Go Free Shop. This is my actual account here, guys. This is my actual, go ahead.
So this is Laurent software, correct? Hummingbird guys can't do this.
Hummingbird has their own platform, and I don't believe you can take the same maps and the same sonar information. This works off of the Laurent HDS system, and I believe it also works off of the Elite series. I'm not using the Elite, but I think it's the Elite that'll also log your sonar also at the same time. I'm now in my account. I hit my Insight Genesis.
Ooh, big cormorant.
I have big cormorant, big pine, bijou. I got secrets for bijou. No, I don't. Scotty noticed that I had bijou this spring, and he says, wow, I grew up on that lake.
I did grow up on that lake.
And now I can pop that open today too and just look at these. But these are all the different lakes I have.
So now, correct me if I'm wrong, but these right here are your private lake maps.
Yes, these are my private lake maps because I am the one that scan these. I have an option when I download this to hit a private box that keeps these files private to Paul. If you don't click it, I've never done that. I put a lot of time and energy into this. I feel pretty personal about this. This is good grief. Last year we were going down the Big Pine from my house in Hawley. The Big Pine, the gas there and back. I've got a 115 horse two-stroke. It loves gas, and I like to use it too. I like to go across the lake, and it burns oil. These trips are averaging $55 on a Saturday. That's without bait or anything else. I spend money to be here. But when we're done, I think you're gonna see an awesome value to this. You don't have to go to 20-some lakes. You might have 2 or 3 that are your favorite. Maybe Devil's Lake, Big Cormorant, and 1 or 2 other lakes is what you wanna do. And you can make some really gorgeous maps. And the best thing about it, it's truly HD and it's yours, it's personal. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah, there's one thing that's nowadays with the way mapping is, you can buy map chips that show so much compared to what used to be out there, and which is great. But if you're a tournament angler, or if you got a lake, a home lake that you fish a lot by yourself, you know, and everybody on that lake has that same map.
Yeah.
Now you can have your map, which is way better than anything you can buy.
Can I tell them, or go ahead?
So this just updates basically the base map that's on the chip from sonar
No,
readings?
I've eliminated the base map. I've made a map. The base map is gone, even if it was HD on Lowrance side or not. You can still use those, and I think the software is getting better with the upgrades to HDS 2, and now we're going to 3, and I heard some weird inkling there's something coming up down next year. I don't know what it was, but it's just getting better. It will continue to get better. And I believe you can put 2 maps into your system. I've got a HDS 9, I've got 2 expansion slots, SD cards. I've had a chip with a Big Cormorant in there, and I've had a chip with White Earth in there here in the last few weeks. And it says, do you want to use White Earth? Yes. Do you want to use Big Cormorant? I could hit yes, and it would bring it in. But I think I'm just discovering some of this too. Every day is a new day. There's new education out there. I think I could take my last year's SD card, and now I'm creating a new SD card this year, and I can put them both in those expansions and say yes to both of them. They will come onto the same map, and you can start viewing them, because there's been times when I've had my 2012 Lake Master chip in my Lowrance, and it'll ask, do you want to also include Big Cormorant or whatever lake I'm on, and I say yes, and then all of a sudden I got them both over each other. The problem with that is, it sounds great, wow, we got the best of every world. No, you don't. You got crisscross lines, and they look like they go off this way, and they really go off this way, and you got two maps saying that, you know, you want to keep the maps close to the similar, to say the same thing, to merge them together.
Right, but the map you're creating is based on sonar, is what you're saying.
On sonar, yes. Yep. It's, yep. I don't know what lake to start with. I really wanted to talk to you about Leaf Lake. We had a tournament there.
One of them lakes that start with a W. Pelham and
You going there?
Maybe.
I'll show you some maps. I'll bring it out here. I want to start with something that's kind of relevant to a decent size. I don't have a full map of White Earth. That's a huge lake, but I've got some areas that are working for us, and I can show that to you
That
here.
part doesn't matter. I just want to see how accurate it is, or what it looks like.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I like Leaf Lake. If you're familiar with the culvert, in the spring of 2012, my friend Randy from Hawley says, let's go over to the culvert and let's get some walleyes. And we started casting jigs and gulp, and we did really well. We kept some to eat, and we threw a lot back. We threw a lot of big 26 inches back. We don't keep that. We throw them back. Some of you even carried over to our side of the lake, Big Cormorant. But yeah, they're in there. And I've just fallen in love with that. It's a strange bay right out in front. How many know how deep that bay on the Leaf Lake side is? Do you have any idea? I've just been really curious about that bay. Here's all these walleyes going in there in the spring, and you can see them at night going back out of there too, some. But there comes a time when the lake's kind of, the melting's done. And I watch, you just pay attention to these lakes. Watch what's really going on. And these lakes start balancing themselves out. There's no more flow going through that culvert. They know where it's at. They kind of got a sense of direction where to go to find this thing, but there's no movement. They won't go in that culvert when there's no movement. There has to be some sort of a drift through there. Then they'll pass through there. So now I'm sitting there with my light on. There's a school of 12. Oop, turn off the light, catch a few, throw them back, catch a few, have fun. Throw them back, you know, be good to the life, you know, of the ecology of fishing. And so I know there's fish in there. I know there's good fish in that lake. I got a friend that calls it a slough. Well, he's right. It's really green. It's really rich with nutrients. But I grew up on Lake Minnetonka, and I tell you what, there's nice fish down there, and lots of fish because there's nutrients. Phosphorus from the lawn fertilizer feeds the weeds, feeds the zooplankton, and the food chain is just huge in these lakes. What do you think Sally and Melissa is? Green is, it's just as green as Leaf Lake is. Those are rich lakes, and there's fish in those lakes, lots of them. I'm not scared of fish in dirty water. There's fish. Isn't Devil's Lake green? I haven't fished it, but it's green. It's full of life and food. So anyhow, because of my experience of really enjoying for 3.5 years Leaf Lake, I wanted to do this, and it just happened that we did have a tournament this year, and that was a bonus for me. But here's my first map I did. We were blessed this spring. Did you all notice that the snow and ice left early? I got out and got Leaf Lake done. I got Turtle Lake done. I got Bijou Lake done. I got half of Ida done, and there were a few other lakes. I had about 4 or 5 lakes totally mapped this spring before the opener ever happened because of the such nice spring we had. This one I did on April 12th. This is my map. I'm going to see if I can get in there and make it larger so we can all see it better. It's a little slow and putsy, but we get there.
So those red lines are where you drove to be able to map it?
Yep. This is my tracks. We'll get that up there a little bit.
Deer bedded down there.
What do you see down? What do you see down there? What do you see? I missed it.
Saw some deer down there.
Oh, deer! Yeah. I tell you what, this year too, it was Navico. I think it was listed. It would switch you over to Navico, and they were using these satellite maps. And last year, you'd keep zooming in, and it would get all when you get down to the best map or the closest map up, it would turn to a blur. This year, you can zoom in on that stuff, and you can always count the furrows of dirt in the fields where they've tilled. This is much better. When they went to the Go Free this year, it made a big difference. I don't know why they got sharper. This is where I started, right there, at that dot. I didn't know where to go. I wanted this bay. I couldn't get in here. This one's really getting shallow. I was scraping my motor through the mud there. Just follow the outside. I really wanted to get in here good. Just went around. I like to do a perimeter, and then as you go, you can have there's a thing that shows how far out you're scanning to the sides, and I usually run when I'm doing this. I like to run with the side scan. I don't know. Sorry, I'm just having a blank here. But it runs up on the shore here, and it runs out this far. And I'll go up the side. And the next time I come through, I'll run it so they're overlapping, touching each other. So when you scan up there, you're getting twice. I've scanned that area. Once on this run and on the second time on this area run. I got a little far apart here. This area here, I missed those areas. I didn't get a scan, but it doesn't matter. I've got 95% or more scanned on this part of the lake. I missed a little spot there. It doesn't matter. Next time I get there, and I've gone there a few times since, I'll explain that later, but I got the basis done here.
So you're using down scan and side imaging?
All of it, yes. That's your down imaging, your side scan, your sonar, all at the same time.
How fast are you going?
Pardon me?
How fast
Oh,
are you going?
fast. I like to keep it about, well, it's supposed to stay under 6. And I'll run a lot of times about 5.4, 5.3. When I'm feeling good and it's a calm day, I'll push it up to 5.9. I'll push to 5.9. But watch it. If you're on a windy day and you come around the corner, that wind will just shoot you off about 6'3" and you lose your content. And this is your toolbar here. I can take my trails off. Now I can see a little bit better what's going on. Come to contours. I just changed this to 1 foot contours. This area here is where the culvert is. When we could zoom in there, you can see a little bit of a channel that goes right up to that culvert. Those fish will just funnel right in there. It's kind of fun, it's cool. They won't just do it here, they'll do it at every place you go to, you know. They love following contour. This is 10, it barely makes 11 feet deep there when the water's deep. It was deeper in the spring, it's probably a foot or two shallower. This bay is not over 10 feet. Like I say, all these fish coming in this bay, where do you think they go? They don't all escape. The water gets down too low, they stay in there. You think they're gonna go a quarter mile and find the deep water? I don't know. I'll tell you a secret, I've stayed here fishing, even when the coontail are coming up in the swamp here. I caught fish to the end of June, and nice fish. Nice eaters, 18 inches, throw them back. I've seen 16s. I catch more bigger fish in here than I do in Cormorant. This is a good lake. Some things I tried. I'm on an adventure. I told you I started catching fish in the fall of 2010, and that's when my walleye experience started taking off. I'm still learning. I'm still willing to listen to you even. You know, I want to listen. If you got a story to tell me, tell me. I pulled spinners through here. This is some of my pre-fish in the spring. If they're in here, why aren't I getting this deep gully? I pulled spinners through there. I didn't get the walleyes. I got sunfish in northern. But I'm trying, you know. If you don't try something new, you won't find anything new. It'll be the same old school. This is real shallow, about 4 feet deep there. We got some nice areas out here. Tom knows this hump. He's been there.
We got school.
Yeah. More tools here to work with. This is really a cool program. Sometimes you're in an area, I don't even want to see, I don't even want to see the contour, so I'll maybe go to 5 feet. It just kind of shows you a different, sometimes you might want to think that way. I think 90% of the time we're going to go with the 1-footers. We've got contours only, that's already selected. We could change this to vegetation. But now you're seeing where the vegetation, this was probably vegetation on April 12th when I did this. This is some of the weed growth that's beginning and starting. This side of the island here had green growth. Some over here, this is kind of a channel. I don't know if you've ever gone to this lake, but there's a channel that goes kind of through here. There's an island here. There's kind of a channel that goes this way. This gets thin. There's some bulrushes right here. That's still not my favorite. This is going to be my favorite. This is my favorite. I just clicked on composition. Composition here is hard at red, and down here at the pasty putty color, that's mud.
Do you have to put that in there, Paul, or how do you know that it's mud?
Because this is your hard, this is your scale here. This is hard, and I think I could scroll this up. There's still a little more of my pattern here, down here lower and deeper, and it gets to this pasty color. This is the basin. This is the basin here. This is mud.
But what I was getting at,
Uh-huh.
how did it know that it was mud?
Because it's in your scanning. It's the sonar. You're dealing with your sonar and your down image, your side scans.
Yep.
It's all your transducers grabbing information.
How much power it's absorbing?
Yeah.
Right.
It's basically recording the gray line.
Right, exactly. That's what I was getting at. I mean,
Yep.
I knew that, but I was just for everybody else.
Sure. No, that's right. Oop, uh-oh, getting away from me there. Settle down. Okay. I'll just go one click there.
That's interesting that shallow, muddy area of the lake is the hardest.
This here road here, you're familiar with this road, everybody, I believe. When you take this road, you go by the culvert, you're on County Road 6, you go along here. This is where all the boats and all the parties happen, right here. This is where my party happens. Sorry. I'll get into that later.
Swimsuits show up at the soft bottom?
What? They're swimsuits? What? I have no idea. I'm fishing. I have no idea. I couldn't care less. All right, let's I'll go through these really quick here, real quick. I'll tell you another story here on what happened here. I went out one day on a Sunday afternoon. This now is, how come it's 8/8?
August 8th.
It ain't August 8th. Oh yeah, it is. Okay, no, never mind. Let me go back.
The computer don't like Paul.
Yeah, no, that was August 8th. Let me describe this better here. When I go back, and I'll show you later, I'm just going to talk about it when I get back to the last screen. Remember all those blue bars that went across there? Those were my lakes. And when I opened them up, I learned from the previous year how to organize myself. And I did. This is my first, one of my first lakes I started with. I labeled this bit here. Well, I still got that up there. That's going to change. This was Leaf Lake West, I called it. And I had another spot, Leaf Lake Middle 1, Leaf Lake Middle 2. I put weird names on them like that. I broke it up into 6 different titles like that. I wish I hadn't. It's already done, it's already logged, it is what it is. It's labeled, it's named, it is what it is. After I got done with this lake, I realized if you ever pick this up, do this. Put down Leaf Lake 1, Leaf Lake 2. Make it real simple. Leaf Lake 3, Leaf Lake 4. Just keep going like that. And when you're all done with the map and you start doing additional trails, Leaf Lake 7, Leaf Lake 8. Just keep going. I've got Leaf Lake, White Earth 1, White Earth 2. You know, just, it's generic, but just organize yourself. Then you won't have problems like I'm having now. I'm having a numerical problem trying to get to the next one. I can get there. It's,
So if you do it by number, then you always know that the highest number is the last one you did.
right.
Now, can you merge those files together?
Yeah, you can. This would have been my 12th, and a week later I went on the 18th, did the 1, 2, 3, 4 more. I was burned out that day. It was a Sunday afternoon. I had to go home. 4 hours of this kind of logging gets draining on you. It's hard. And then I'll just quickly open these up. I'll get to that merging part of it, yeah.
So as you transition, let's say, is your display smart enough to know where you're on the lake and transition to the map, to a new map to come?
This is all GPS. It's also GPS coordinated, logged into this. You're not only, it's telling you speed, it's telling you GPS, it's everything. When I log right there, it won't put it over on the other side of the lake. It's keyed to that part of the lake. Is that what you're asking?
Not exactly.
Okay.
So do you, if you've got all, like say 8 maps for Leaf Lake, right?
Mm-hmm.
So will it automatically transition to the map where you are on the lake at the present time?
We'll get into a merge map, merge trips, and when you get done like this day here, I'll answer that here as in the next couple minutes here as we talk. I went out fishing on a Sunday afternoon after church, and I got on the lake, and I had no SD cards with me. Each of your units have a small amount of memory in there. I called up my son. I knew he was at the house. He was going to head to Fergus Falls. Well, I think Leaf Lake's on the way. Dylan, get me some SD cards fast. So I took my HDS 7. I have 2 7s and I have a 9. I just went until my card was full. And then I did that 3 times. You can see that. I did the perimeter there, my computer filled up. I did another one. I'm praying my son to hurry up, get here, you know, and he made it.
Say, Paul, what's the best HD card to get?
It doesn't matter. I haven't had a problem. The bigger the are, the more you can put on there. I average an 8 gig SD card. I've used 2 gigs. I've used 32 gigs too. You know, whatever you got, take it, stick it in there. There's my next one, and then let's see. I better go back. I'll show you one more. Then I went out to the big lake after I got done there. Next day I went out, next trip. This is live. This is actually off the internet, pulling this up right now so you can see what I have. This is one that's inside, and I have another map that just went, this is circled, and the second one was in the center, another one was over here. Then I got a big one that did all this and went around there, and then it came back another day and did this one. Now I have 6 maps. And every one of them you can take and look at them individually if you want. And sometimes that's good to do. Double check your maps, make sure they're good. I have one right now, I'm fighting with Lawrence. It's garbage. I know what I'm doing. I've done 80, 90 gigs of data this year. I have one map that ain't working and I keep fighting with them. Would you please throw it away and reprocess it? I hope they get it done because I'd like to have it good for next year. But beyond that, you would come here. This is your, it doesn't matter which one of these maps you open up. It's all related to Leaf Lake. If I hit that box, it'll click all the maps that I've put together. And I don't know how many there is there to say, I don't know, 15 or 13 or whatever. Then I'd hit the merge trips. Then it brings all my maps together. It makes one map out of it. So I can put one SD card in my Lawrence and let it come up, get everything else off there, no other HD maps or anything, and it'll be only this one. Let's see, I have 13 maps totally that I've made out there. Once I've got the basic map done, I don't go back and forth and do those lines anymore. I just do my fishing. I let the thing run. It can be a 1.6 gig, it can be 800 megs, it can be whatever, but I'll include it and just record it and put it in there. Right now, this tab's, these are all the singular maps that I've done. This side here are all the merged maps that you put together. Leaf Lake. The first time I did this was right away in the spring to see what the whole lake looked like. I'm going to pop that one up. This is my very first map. Completed map, the full merge map. This is everything out there. That's what my map looks like. I can take off the tracks. It's beautiful. It's got color to it. I can change it to 1 foot contours. It's getting gorgeous. That's a beautiful map. I have steep breaks around here. I have points. I have areas of saddles. I got islands with saddle. This is where the boat launch is, down in this area here somewhere, right down in here somewhere, I believe. Well, there's the parking lot right there. So right off here is where you go and launch and you go out into the lake. This is a sunken island. In the winter, I see a lot of people fishing there. I've never fished there, but they get around that island, this whole area. I don't know what the rest of the lake looks like. And again, composition, that's what I like. See if it settles down. This is the boat launch here. You just come out in the lake. A few years ago, in 06, 07, I believe it was, I was just fishing this area here. We got a lot of sunnies and crappies ice fishing. That was ice fishing. I didn't know what I was doing. Fellow with me says, oh, there's a break line right here, right off the thing. I like to fish right along there. Well, he never found it. I don't know what he was talking about. But that's the way we used to fish. We all had, there's a hump over there. There's a saddle over there. Our grandpas did it, our dads did it. We've done it. That's what we all say. And this will tell you exactly where everything's at. This is harder tops on here. Notice a lot of this is yellow. This is soft. This is still a soft bottom. This area here would be a real hard area. This would be a hard area going back into this bay here. If you were to look for places to fish, you'd probably check the top of humps, the sides, the bases around there. You'd kind of watch the edges here later in the summer. You look for a saddle here. This is kind of like one side of the lake going to another side of the lake. I was curious about this area here myself this last summer when I seen this. This is really a flat. You know, a flat is a slow moving grade going out. And look at all this hard stuff. When they come off the basin and start fishing here or feeding there on this here flat, I scanned it several times, at least twice, if not 3 times. I never found a fish there. But it gives you ideas, things to try, you know. I wouldn't have tried it if I hadn't seen my map, but it gave me something to go try. This is a little island here. Let's see, where am I? Let me pull it down. This here area, once you get used to this, like this area's got bulrushes off the top. I have run into a few crappies on this side. I've noticed other people trolling on this side. I believe I've seen a few fish here, a few walleyes. I haven't caught them yet, but I thought I'd seen some there. I had an accident one night. I was up here throwing this way. I caught one walleye in here. Another fisherman that's part of our Walleyes Are Us, him and his partner fished this area. They came up with 2 or 3 walleyes on the Walleyes Are Us night. We had a boat with 3 guys. They came up with 4 fish over here. Yes, I'll give you my spot too.
How do you turn the waypoints on?
I don't, my waypoints are on my computer, on my HDS, on my Lowrance. I don't have them here. This was my best spot. I had been exasperated by this lake, but I kept fishing it, believing I could do it. I've been different places, trying this and that. I caught one over there, I told you. And it was getting to the end of my pre-fishing time. And I come across this thing and I seen a nice arch on there, a nice ball. I parked my boat up here and I threw down to this break line and I just started working it up my lure. I use a jig and wrap, sometimes a jig and minnow. I haven't done much jig and minnow lately, but I was using a jig and wrap. I caught a 17.5-inch walleye there. I guarantee you that was not the fish I saw. I know I seen a monster down there. I said to myself, I need one more fish off this piece. And I fished about another 5 casts and I threw one this way. And I got one that went 21 inches. It was a beautiful walleye. What a beautiful fish for a tournament. I had in my heart 2 walleyes in 5 minutes and they were gorgeous. And I said to myself, I'm gonna do well here. The day of the tournament that I came out for, windy, cold front, everything, it was nasty. I went to my spot expecting to get 6 fish minimal. I barely put 4 fish together. I had a few more bites, but that's fishing. That's life. But it took me a long time to find that spot. I know there's more spots. I like this spot here. There's rocks on there. When you start looking at your sonar, I'll show you some rocks. I can do that right now. All I have to do is get my tracks on. Click right there. Come on, do this right now. Oh. Why ain't that doing it? All right, I have to go back to my individual maps, and I can click on those lines. I'll go to that here after a bit for you. I'll show you some rocks there. There's rocks in this point right here. I'm gonna show you a few maps later. I gone from 6 trips, now I got 12 merged trips.
So when you load all this to the rants and other people look at it, or do you?
I don't know. When you do this, it asks you for your computer serial number. It asks for some other computer ID. You plug that into your system, and I believe your computer, your HDS, only individually works with this system. I can include, I think it's 3 different computer or units on there, and I can kick one off and include another one. I can keep rotating, but at any given time, I can only run 3 units. Me, my buddy, my other buddy. But then I would hope you'd bring me some
More data.
more data, please. We'll share.
So you gotta pay then to keep it private?
This program costs me $100 a year, $99.99 I think it is. It's $100 a year. It's small compared to the amount of jigging wraps I lose in 2 weeks. It's small. I go through a lot. This is the 12 map, 12 trip map. As I've gone over this more, one time through gives you a light amount of information. It gives you enough information to become deadly. You start concentrating, going up and down these things. Remember my other map? I only had this color and this color, this yellow. Now I'm starting to find areas with red on there, some harder bottoms on these points and stuff. You're developing your map as you go along. You're getting more intelligence, more information coming in. If you remember, this is that brake line I told you I wanted to try. There was some red there, but now it's really filling in red. As it starts understanding what's down there, and I've made more trips through there, now it's starting to get more information, and hardness is starting to come out there. I got your question fixed. It came to it. Anything else you have questions on there, what's going on or need to see? I want to show you this too. I don't know why this happened. This is a basin here. If you remember, my first map showed that this was all one color through here. There was a little bit of, there's a point down here, there's a little bit of red there. I came in one day and I thought, well, I gotta keep looking for fish, I gotta keep searching. So I came in through the mouth here, and I came through here, went along, and I went across here some more, and I just meandered over here, and I checked, and I went off. Where I revisited, I pulled up more information, and I don't quite understand why this changed from a mud to a little bit of a content there. I don't understand that, but that's what happened. It brings more information. I wonder if I went over the whole thing again, what it would do. I don't know. It might have a harder bottom than I realized. First time through, I said there's a lot of mud there, but it might be different now.
Is it dependent on settings on your graph?
I don't think so.
How much gray line you have set for and.
How much sonar and stuff you're setting?
Sensitivity, right?
It may, I'm not sure, I don't think so. Mud is mud, hard is hard, I would say maybe not, but it could be. I want to leave Leaf Lake. Is there any other questions about Leaf Lake?
So you just go out there, you do your mapping, you send it in, they process it, so that you can take your SD card, erase it, use it on another trip or something? And when you're ready to go back there, you just download it onto your SD card, put it into your Lowrance as you're out there.
I'm never without an SD card. I always have SD cards. They become my friend. I'm sorry.
You ever lose one that you're looking for?
The only one I got a hole in my pocket.
Have you caught a walleye on an SD card yet?
Yeah? I guess. These are 32 meg. That is the tiniest SD card you can find. But that's enough, it's big enough to hold these maps. When you generate these maps, download them, and I've got other files I can open up later and just show you. But those, last year, not in 2015, 2014, you had to open a folder and take the content. There's like about 5 things and stick it on the SD card, and it was open in here. It was there. Then you'd stick this into your computer and you could read everything you needed to. This year, they're doing it different. I haven't experienced it yet. I'm still with the old school in my mind. I've still got a few things I haven't upgraded myself to. I understand you can put more than one map on here. I don't know if it's in here or one on here and one on the other one. I'm not sure how they're doing it, but you can get more information in here and you can read more information these days. More lakes on one of these cards. It doesn't matter. I bought, I think it was 20 SD cards for like $54 shipped in. You know, these small ones, they're just dirt cheap, $2.50 a piece, and I got 20 of them. So I'll make one for White Earth, I'll make one for Big Cormorant, I'll make another one for Leaf, I'll just make one for different lakes. I was doing it for a while thinking, wow, I got everything organized, I'm gonna get a card file. Doesn't matter, throw it away, you know. Get the information off there. Every time you're going to a new lake, you're gonna get new data, you're gonna download it, you're gonna process it, you're gonna merge it into the new one. So every time you go to the lake, you want a new one anyhow. And these things are hard to write on. It's difficult to label them because it just smears and mushes off. So I create a new one every time I go out because it's easy. I'll do that.
So you just download off this website, save a file to a card then, to stick it in?
Yeah, you generate a map. Okay, on the last, when you have the maps up and you're looking at the final, you don't even have to do it the final product. There's been a few times I've just needed one trip and I'll just say generate that map, and I'll just, you know, you've seen just those little areas I've done, I'll generate that and bring it out. I'm gonna go back here. I want to go one more time. I was talking to you about another feature here. Let's see, like 15. There it is. We've done this one. No, I don't want that one. This is that shore I was telling you about. I'm gonna just click right there, put my dot over there. I put this dot right on that line right there. This is another nice feature. Right where I put it, there's no fish under me. But this is a tape. This is a running tape. It's just like a recorder. I'm just going along. Okay, I'm gonna stop it for a second. I'm gonna start over here. Come on, move. Well, there it goes. That would jump. That's where I want to go. Now we're coming up on that there hump. Just come up on that hump and you just kind of watch. I'm going along that brake line. I'm heading out across the basin. You can take your track home with you, process it. Ah, where were those fish on that brake line? You can run this tape and you can say, well, there it is, and then you can stop and it helps you get it in your memory.
Right there.
There's one. Oop. It just keeps going. Round and round.
Paul, I know that you have a time that you mapped and you marked fish on there and you went home and watched your trails. and you went back to that spot the next day. Show us that.
Well, I didn't see them so much on the trails. When I seen them here, I just seen them and I knew it. Sorry. You're pushing me, man. You're pushing me.
Let's get to Cormorant.
Because we know.
What you want? What did you say? You want to see cormorant?
Big Cormorant.
I don't care where you show us, I just wanna see where you see fish.
Okay.
Show a good picture.
I got another good one here. Let me go back here. Let me close this off. I'm gonna go over to wires. We're gonna start going around. I showed you how to build and do one lake and get the whole lake, and I haven't done that for all these lakes, just some of these lakes. This one here, I've got areas I want to fish. Let's see. This one will show you a fish right here. I'm pretty sure if I remember this one right.
A hot spot, show us a hot spot.
Paul, you need to go out for a minute.
I need to do a lot more than that.
Watch this little hump here. This is cedar crest right here. I want to show you something else too. You know, just hold off on this. I'm going to interject something here. Education in any form for anything you do in life makes you smarter. We all know that. I sat down with Doc Sonar for 2 hours one day, and he started sharing things with me. He showed me ottertail. I'm not going to show you ottertail. It doesn't matter. I'll show you the same thing here that he showed me. What do you think this is? What do you think this is?
Oh, there's sunken humps.
There you go. You're looking through clear water. You're seeing things. And he's got a different formula for finding areas of fish. Here's a boat right here, zipping across the lake. But you're looking at these humps, these bars. Sometimes you can pick up things in the shallower areas on some of these lakes by just looking at a satellite map like that.
So
I'll show you.
Paul, where would you happen to run across Doc Sampson, who's one of the best mapping guys in the country? Where would you run across him where he'd just sit down with you and talk for 2 hours?
Mike Huber did. Mike was out a couple summers ago. I got this phone call. Paul, you won't believe what I just saw today. He was on the north launch, launching off on Big Cormorant, and who do you think was in his crestliner driving away? And he didn't even get a picture with him. He says, "Oh, that was dumb. I didn't even think about that. You should have got a selfie," he said. But yeah, that was Doc Sampson on Big Cormorant right out here. He gets there once in a while. And he drove away and waving at Mike, and Mike's waving, "Bye, have a great day out there," and there he went. I ran into him at NPAA, National Professional Anglers Association. It's something I joined. I do weird things on my own. I do. Kyle and Scotty belong to it. I was kind of aware of it, and well, that sounds cool. I think I might like that. I looked it up on the internet. I think I do like that. It's only $100. It's a club. I don't know what it's going to do for me, but I did it. And I joined. I became part of it. That's kind of the way I became part of Walleyes R Us. It had to be 2012. I was at the Fish Fest over there at Shields, walking along and just talking to Kyle, talking and looking at stuff, and all of a sudden this big tall guy says, "You used to do fish aquariums, didn't you? You used to breed angelfish, didn't you?" "Yeah, I did." I looked at him. "Kyle?" I hadn't seen him since 1993. I knew him before he was married. He was still in college. And
Tell us stories.
oh, I got stories. Come on, I gotta stop. You'll be bored. But yeah, he used to work at the Ben Franklin down at South University, and Mac was his boss. And I remember one time, he knew I had the equipment at home. I had 30-some fish aquariums at one time. My wife will attest to that. It was fun days, but I had to quit it. But I used to raise angelfish. I bred and raised about 3,600 angelfish. I grew them up to dime-sized bodies, quarter-sized bodies. I even brought adults in. I got my fish to respawn again later in life. And through this process of having fun in my old life, back in the 90s, met Kyle, and he says, you want to take some green Severums home with you? They're cichlids. And the male was a monster. He was about that big. And they're mean, especially when it's spawning time. They had a bunch of little babies that had hatched, and they're just doing this. Their mouth, they take care of them with their mouth. They pick them up in their mouth, swoosh them around, clean them off, and spit them back out. Kyle reaches in with the hose. He's getting attacked, and he siphons those babies out, and I took them home. I must have had about 300, 400, 500 green Severums I took home and raised. But so anyhow, I meet Kyle, and he's introducing me to Walleyes Are Us. He's introduced me to FM Walleyes, and I joined both things at the same time. Other things I've just picked up on my own. In 2013, I don't know why, but I was curious. I looked up AIM, and they started showing me about their tournaments. Nobody was with me. Nobody went with me. I joined one of their AIM tournaments. I went to Oconto. I kept thinking, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I started in January looking at this thing. I'm going to do this. Then Keith came up here and spoke at one of our things. That spurred me on a little bit more. I was probably going to do it without seeing Keith, but it just spurred me on. And I signed up, and it turned out that I was the first one as a co-angler registered. What that did for me, all the AIM people started putting their names in. First one in was Keith. Second one in was this other guy with a brand new Ranger that had too much money. The third one in was Chase. The fourth one in was Gary. And they just take and match you up. And the first day, the first guy will come to the first guy, the second guy will come to the second guy, the third guy will come to the third guy. And it's a 3-day tournament, $300. As a co-angler, I got to fish with a different pro every day for 3 different days. They rotated this. I fished with Keith for a full day. I fished with this guy with a brand new Ranger for a full day. Then I got to fish with Chase for a full day. And that was wonderful. It was a great time. It was one of those things to remember. Good people, I got pictures, and fun to be with. Great guys, really are. But try something new, different. Get on the internet, you know. I got other stuff I've done that is very exciting.
So basically, you know, what I've gotten out of this last 10 minutes of your conversation is get involved.
Get involved. Try something new.
Get involved, because you don't know what doors will open. As soon as you get involved, different doors open, and all you gotta do is walk through them.
Mm-hmm. A lot of things have opened up.
Hey, Paul, so we've got to look at mapping, driving around, finding fish, Paul.
Yep.
Give us a glimpse of tournament Paul. Give us a glimpse of Paul that starts when he leaves tonight and gets ready for Whitewood.
Just hold up here.
Just hold up. You're just getting on wire. I just want to see what it all laid out.
Yeah, wider effect.
I'm gonna grab some water. I gotta.
I'll buy you more water and show me some fly.
Thank you.
Not that I'm going to be in the same place you are. But
No, we'll be out there.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious what I think it is and what it really is.
These are my merged maps. I have better maps from the year before. What I've done this year is kind of relied on my last year's maps. I don't have access to my last year's maps. They're under somebody else's program. And this year I'm on my own. But I still have access to those old maps. And so what you might see here, and I need to in fact, I'm going to do that right now. I need a new map. I'm going to show you what to do. I don't know if it'll do anything tonight, but I'll get it started. I've got this little trail here. I'm going to run that trail here. Just a minute. I got a lot of things going on. I had a guy over here, Tom, ask, what does it look like to see a fish on there? Here I am. I started up there, and I'm just kind of running through here. I'm out in the basin. I should have zoomed in. Now I'm coming up on the rock hump. It's gone, and now here's one of the bars. Now I'm up into the weeds.
That's all vegetation.
That's vegetation up there.
Yeah, that's all that's all.
I can even go backwards with these too. Oop, I saw something back there. Those are fish and stuff that are hanging off the side. They're bait. This is probably a bait cloud right here. These are rocks here. This isn't my sonar. This is what they provide you with. This isn't what you see in your boat with the HDS system or your Elite system. This is different. Okay. Oh, I know what I need to do. I'm sorry. I gotta.
Is there a limit to how much you can input at a time?
No, you just start downloading. I have had 6, 7, 8 gigs of material, log trails, and I just fill up the queue and it starts downloading. I can't get to work because I have better internet service from the church across the street than I do at home. They're good people. And so I sit there just...
That's why you go to church.
I'm gonna tell you, when I first started doing this a year ago, it was kind of slow and chunky, and there were a few days where it just kind of crashed. And all of a sudden, one day, I couldn't get on there very good. About a week or two later, it's fast. I think their system upgraded. That was nice of them. All right, map generation.
That's why it's in the cloud.
No, I don't want, yeah, I don't want a map generation. I want merge strip. Merge strips. I want to get all these strips merged. I go over here, hit merge. I'm bringing my past information, my current information together. I change this to all. Contours, I want all the contours. I want to be able to do what I need to do. Throw the vegetation in, throw in the composition, hit the merge, and there's an error. I don't know why. Everything's right. Oh wait, occurred, previous, this has already been merged, okay. All right, it has been merged. So I don't need to merge that today. I was thinking I needed to get ready for tomorrow. I have been all the way to the south end. I've been all the way to the north end.
So then those two red lines going through the middle there, you were going too fast.
I was going very fast. I want to go to the other end of the lake. If you keep it under 25, you can generate contours. You keep it under 6, you can get your bottom content.
Well, you go across 120 feet of water anyway, so it's good.
But there's humps out here. You know,
Oh, yeah.
there's humps out there.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what I haven't done a lot. I've just done some in the middle. I'll get to a map later. I'll pull up a map after a bit and you'll see what it really looks like. I have about a third of this lake done, or a quarter of the lake anyhow.
Big lake.
Yeah, it's huge. Are there other lakes you'd like to look at? You want to look at Big Cormorant?
Yep.
Most do. There's 12.
So for a guy that has, you know, that stays on, a lot of the guys here in this room, they'll pick 5 lakes that they fish. 90% of their time is on those 5 lakes. And a lot of them will be on 1 or 2 lakes. So this program, they could map their lake and they're set. They're set for life.
So Paul, when you go back and you're fishing, do you continue to record your complete day?
Yes, I do.
Huh?
Yes, I do. Even if I spot lock and stay on a spot for a long time, I just let it run. So what?
Yeah.
The
It just
cloud,
enhances the data.
it just keeps recording, keeps doing it, yes.
I didn't see Big McDonald on it.
Pardon me?
I didn't see Big McDonald on it.
No, I didn't have my boat there. We were in Tom's boat at Big McDonald. That was and we couldn't pre-fish. That was a whole different scenario. This here is a parking lot at the, this is the Y up here. This is the parking lot. These are different areas I check. I don't have all my information here. Out in the middle, this has been a strange year. Let me ask you, how many, watching details, how many of you saw a thermocline this year?
Zero.
There was no thermoclines. I've got a couple of people said they did early in the year, but for the most part, no. I didn't see any. So what do you do with no thermocline? I wish I'd have been smarter. I will be the next year that this happens. I will go out in the mud and I will chase those fish. They are in the mud, guys. They're in the mud. I caught one at Lake 15. I just wanted to have fun. I went to Lake 15 for a Saturday, and I kept looking. I couldn't find the fish. I come off the mud. I got up on this hump, and my HDS said, voila. It was huge. It was. I threw it in reverse, slammed it down. I threw a jigging Rap right behind the boat, and it must have moved. The motor must have moved him over just a little bit. My second cast was over a little bit farther, and there it was, 24 inches. When my pictures were cycling earlier, I had it in the bottom of the boat on the ruler. I didn't quite get the head good enough. I just didn't get a good shot, I apologize. This was a black walleye. It was mud. It didn't have mud on its belly. You hear people say, oh, we caught him in the mud and they had mud on. I haven't caught one of those yet, but it was black. It looked like a sucker fish. I had to look at that fish. I looked at him good. Only thing he had was on the anal fin, just a little bit, like 1 or 2 strands of white on there. That's the only way you could identify that that was a walleye. A little bit on the shape of the head, but it was half sucker, half walleye. I had to really stare at that thing. It was strange. I caught one on Big Pine at the end of the day. Mike was here, I was here, we were just talking and casting. Gary was in the boat there, we're just talking, it was getting close to the end of the day, we're just kind of fishing off the day, and he said that they had some dark ones. He says, you notice the mouths? Open the mouths and they're all full of leeches, those tiny little 1/4-inch leeches just hanging in the side of their mouth. Where do you think they get them? They're out in the basin. If you got a thermocline, you're not going to go past 20 feet. These are out in 30 feet of water. Well, I guess some of the thermoclines make it down to 30, but in the big lakes, you know, they're just out there in the mud. Our friend Tom Johnson, I won 2 tournaments with this year. Two nice tournaments, and I was just talking to him last week. He said, I don't know if it was on Big Cormorant or if it was on Ottertail. He said one of the lakes he was on, they were catching these mud walleyes. And he says they were coming up, and he says, we just loaded up nice eaters. He wanted to have a nice fish fry with his friends. He loaded up his live well. He says when I got back to the launch, opened it up, it had puked bugs. These were 1/2-inch bugs, and they hardly had an eye. He said they're a little fry or a little something, but they're out in the middle having a bug hatch. This was the year, I think we all, if you didn't catch it, I think we missed the boat, guys. I think they were out deep some places. I think it would have been fun to be out there. But this just is something I put in my brain data. I hope I live long enough to see another one of these wonderful years, and I'll do it again. And I will go look through the mud. After Scotty and Kyle had a wonderful walleyes or us fishing trip, they were catching them from 30, 32 minimum, or on the minimum out to 36 feet deep. I know Jake Nelson was running along the deep edges of these breaks out in the mud, and he was catching them. But there was a lot of small ones, 13 to 16 inchers being caught, but they're still fish, and it's still something different to do. And it's just a moment of time, you know, a matter of time that you'll finally find where the big ones are out there. There's got to be big ones out there too. I went out there and in Big Cormorant, I was finding fish in 43, 44 feet deep. I couldn't catch them. I don't know why they wouldn't bite on my line, but I found them. They were marked. Maybe I should have dropped the camera. Maybe they were sucker fish in the middle lake. I don't know. But I seen a lot of fish out there. I found groups where I could do that at. I'm having fun. I'll keep talking. I don't know where we're at. Well, it's been an hour, but I can keep talking.
We're moving into fall. What's your prediction for fall? Give us some fall tips.
Well,
You know,
I have a
frogs-
curiosity.
Frogs is big around leaf and cormorants and stuff like that. You can catch your fishing frogs.
What do you think I've been doing for this past week? Mr. Steve, I'm coming up the White Earth with frogs. I don't know. I've never done it. I caught one nice walleye about 26 inches long with a frog many years ago. Was with my friend Randy out on Stump Lake by Holly, and we're going over the bars like 2 o'clock in the morning, just dragging and just pulling. And frogs pull weird. They're like a big hunk of weeds. You know, just kind of like a weird feeling. I caught a 26-inch walleye 2 o'clock in the morning, doing that weird stuff I do. My best year for a lot of big walleyes was 2000 and I want to say 11. Remember the summer when it was 95-degree days and 85-degree nights for 2 weeks straight? Did anybody go fishing? Was it too hot for you? I went fishing. We were putting bug nets on our head, hoodies up with bug nets over our head. We had long sleeve sweatshirts. We had neoprene gloves on. We had our pants on. And I have this one, it doesn't work there anymore because they changed the color. We had a winter kill in this 2.2 acre pond. They went up through and they ended up in this 2.2 acre pond. I caught a 29-inch walleye out of there one time. Didn't know what to do with them. I let them go back into the 2.2. That winter, they all died out. There were several of them laying on the shore in a 2.2 acre lake pond. I don't know what you want to call it. I went out there with my kayak. I dropped my line to the bottom, and then I set my rod tip at the water level, sitting in my kayak. I pulled it up 6 feet, 12 feet, 18 feet, and a little bit hanging there. It was 18 to 20 feet deep, that little two acre lake. And there was 29-inch walleyes in there. Anyhow, getting back to the original lake, when it was so hot, this lake thermoclines out. It gets hot. The water temperature that year was 85, 86 degrees. It was hot. What do walleyes do? Go sleep, get lethargic? Their bodies are made for coolness, and when it gets hot, their bodies just start metabolizing, start cranking up. We went out that year. I caught 25 walleyes that year that were over 25 inches. I had a summer that year, and I didn't know what I was doing. I just started trying weird stuff, and it started working for me. I took my buddy Randy out. I said, Randy, I'll try to go fast. I love stories. I'm sorry when you get tired of me, just throw up the red flag or the white flag, say or surrender, whatever. I took Randy, I was running off this softball diamond at 10:18 at night. Randy, you ready? You ready? I got my softball equipment on, my bat bag's over here. This is the summer I played 182 games by the end of that summer. Plus I went fishing over almost 200 times that year. I was running off the field on the cell phone. Randy, you ready to go? You ready to go? And he said, I'm sleeping. And I said, well, okay. And I said, do you want to go fishing or not? And he says, well, you were supposed to call early. I said, no, it's softball night. I got 4 games tonight. 7, 8, 9, 10, and I'll be done at 11. Well, I was done early. We had a forfeit. We were running out of there. He said, do you want to go or not? I don't know. I'm sleeping. I'll call you when. I get to Holly 20 minutes later. I ran out of there, and I'm moving. I'm going a little fast, maybe. I'm sorry. And I'm just pulling into Holly, and Randy's calling, where are you at? Where are you at? I'm just getting here. I got to change my clothes. I got to eat, and I'll come get you. By the time 10:18, I'm leaving the softball diamond. Till the time we were at this little lake, throwing the first cast, it was 11:10. That's how fast I moved that night. I had a meal, changed of clothes, picked up my buddy, and went fishing. And we're standing there. I stood here, put him over there, and we start casting. He's grunting every time he hits a weed. Oh, there. Oh, that was a weed, you know. I ended up catching a 29-incher. I ended up catching a 26-incher that night. He's getting a little frustrated. I said, stand here then, Randy. Stand here. I went and stood in his place and caught another 23-incher. I'm sorry, Randy. That's the way it is. We had fun. But trying something new and different. And, you know, when I get tired of fishing, it's going to be because I have nothing more to learn or experience. That's what keeps me going. What were you using at night? A walleye dive. They have, what, 3 sizes of walleye dives, and I think the biggest one's about 5-6 inches long. The one that's just short of that is the one I use a lot. And I just throw it out there and pull it real slow. This is another one of those crazy things I do. who the heck needs this? I'll tell you, when you're long line fishing, pull those fish along, you know, that gets the fish in the boat so much quicker. No, I'm lying now. I'm sorry. I'm lying. This is what I call my bridge net. This is not my best net. My best net was a 10-foot painter's pole. And I had a cloth basket. This one with this nylon is just too heavy. I need to take this off, get it a little bit lighter. And I think it's a little abrasive for the fish. When you net them up, it's a little abrasive. I need to get something softer. You need, I better sharpen this up. I'll be changing the light bulbs here tonight. Yeah, good. Anyhow, you get a little pocket here. I always have this laying on the bridge next to me while I'm fishing. I can cast off the bridge and do a jig and a minnow. I can jig wrap. I can throw gulp out there. I've had gulp work on a jig and gulp. You feel that tap tapping, it's like bass fishing for me. Just send it home as hard as you can. Just nail them. And then you start pulling them up and you get them within 2 feet of the surface. And they're right there. You reach down, you hold that rod up, you lift that up, and you bring it down over the edge of the boat, or over the bridge, the bridge, and you let that thing down there, and you just kind of swim the two together, and you get that big 20, I've gotten 29-inch walleyes off a bridge. You won't do that if you don't have this net. You can't hoist them. You ain't got nobody that's going to run down there and get his feet wet for you either. I'm many nights out there alone doing that, just having fun. That's my quiet, fun time. You can hear the coyotes off in the distance barking, the loons, the geese. I just love being alone. That's when I really have my fun, is when I'm alone, or maybe one buddy, and it's just quiet, and we're just goofing off and trying something different. That's fun for me. And you can get him in there. Once he's in the basket, you set your rod down. You can't go like this, you'll bust the net, but you got to pull up hand over hand. You can get it in. In the fall, you'll get your best pictures. You ever noticed that, where those fish just raise their fins, just all sticking out in all different directions, flare their gills? That's when it's cold. You can have them out of the water a little bit longer, get that nice picture. I got a camera that I can hit a 10-second, I hit the timer and I can get back, pick up my fish, and hold it out there and get a nice picture. And then I can put them back in the basket, let it down, let him swim out, and away he goes. I had a funny time. I go down the Detroit Lakes Long Bridge a lot. I went down there one night and I was just having a boring night, but it was nice because I was alone and having a quiet time. Black, this could be. I was just doing a jig and a minnow and just sitting there, all of a sudden I felt this tink. Wham! 26 inches. Hold them up, use my bridge net, put them back, got my pictures, put them back. Nothing more on that side, so I went around the other side. I'm getting bored. Hour and a half later, I'm using a shiner and my bobber goes down and I pull it up. It's 26 inches. I go home and compare pictures. Hour and a half later, that same 26-inch bit again. I got them twice that night. It's fun. I've had muskies down there. The fall of 2011, hunting season runs from Saturday through the following week on to Monday. I was going fishing every night. I gave up my deer hunting for this. I got 9 walleyes that were over 25 inches and 1 muskie that went 50 inches that fall. The fall fishing is just fabulous. And they were in there feeding like crazy. It was fun. But that's from trying something different. You know, I got a boat. I don't fish off a bridge. I got a boat. I don't fish from shore. I fish walleyes. I don't cast. I do. I do a lot of things. And trying something new will reward you. It'll come around. Finishing off with this bridge net. Take an old net that you have sitting in the garage. Take the cork off. You can run it in there. This net is only in there about 10 inches. I got a hole in the top, hole in the bottom, hole in the side, and hole in the side. I've got top, top, side, side. I got 4 pop rivets in there holding this in there, and it does a real nice job. Pop rivet holds it real nice. The shorter pole was 10 feet. With the combination, I was getting about 12 feet of net reach. And that long bridge, that'll be enough to get your fish out of there.
So is that like a painter's pole?
There's a painter's pole that you would have the little plastic in on. In fact, it might even still be in the handle. I don't know if I even took that off there. There's some fun stuff I do. I don't know. I don't know if I answered a lot of questions. You have more questions? You have more thoughts? Or I don't know how many more ideas to give you. I really hope you're excited, because right after the show tonight here, let's get in our cars. Let's go down the Long Bridge. Let's get some of these big ones. You know, let's not stop here. I love fishing.
Anybody else have any more questions for Paul? Brenton?
Paul, I want to catch a 30-incher within an hour of Fargo in the next 2 weeks. Where is Paul Duchesne fishing for that fish?
I'll tell you how I did it on Upper Cormorant. It was a strange thing. I did a lot of scanning out there on Upper Cormorant. I did 7 hours on the Friday before our Walleyes Rust tournament. I just wanted to find some schools. I wanted to find some general areas that would hold fish. I struggled on that lake really bad. I ended up with a carp that went 31 inches. I got about a 3-4 pound northern. I had a crappie that day, about 4 sunfish. I think I had a largemouth bass that day. I had a lot of everything, and everything that was biting that day was nice. I ended up with 2 walleyes. The 2 walleyes I ended up with that day was 22.5 inches and 27 inches on that pre-fishing tournament, or that time. And it was like, I'm not getting my fish, I'm not figuring them out. Well, what have I figured out from what I've gotten? Stay on the ends of these points, stay on the tips. And I did that. I was looking for a big fish. And I had 6 spots. And I worked my way around the lake, and I zeroed out. And all I could say is, I gotta try it again. So I started hitting those points, and it just came to the end of the night, and it just, it had worked for us the year before that point, that area. So I stayed on this point. I had nothing else to do. It was kind of like the Hail Mary, just stay on it. And I did get a 30-incher that night. That's how I did it. Stay on the ends. I did find some earlier in the day that were in the basin. I was just driving across the lake, across the mud again on Upper Cormorant. I found 2 arches, and I got back on top of them with my motor guide, and I stuck my camera down there. I didn't want to disturb these fish, because yeah, you can catch these kinds of fish. I did this in Big Cormorant last year also. Big Cormorant last year, we really struggled. We ended up with 9 fish. We ended up in 9th place. I was very happy with that, but we struggled to get those 9 weighers. And we were following, if you know where the Viking Bay break line is, from there to the point to the east, you just watch that zigzag in and out, in and out. Do it in the fall, and watch those fish that are coming into that 30, 32 foot area. You'll find singles. We did it the year before, and we did it last year also. We did it for the last 2 years. We don't get a lot doing that. But if you're struggling for a fish, do that. We were struggling, we did it. We come along, and all of a sudden, whoa, there he is. Hit a waypoint on it, or make a waypoint on it, and you hit it into reverse. Just stop the boat, and throw your jigging wraps right on. The year before, I used jig and minnow. It doesn't matter, just something that's alive, and just let them, just pump it on top of them there a little bit. You know, if you're doing the jig wrap, do your jig wrap thing. If you're doing a jig and minnow, just let it hit the bottom, pull it up 3 or 4 feet, let it hit. They gobble them up. Those are easy fish. I don't know why those singles are hungry, but they're out there by themselves. They were 15, 16-inch fish, but they made part of our bag happen, you know, last year. We got on another bar. We were just struggling. We got on another bar. We'd caught fish years prior to that, on and off, and we started scanning that for arches. We found 1 green arch. And, whoa, Gary and me just, wow, that's nice. Went back over it twice, pulled back away from it, threw to it, and I thought I missed the spot by 20 feet, 30 feet maybe. I just threw it, and that was crappy. That was a bad throw. And I started pounding, and all of a sudden, wham, he was on, and I just nailed him. Pulled him in on my jigging wrap, got to the boat, and we just couldn't do nothing but laugh. He was just a little over, he was like 21, 22 inches. After we got him in the boat, it was like, maybe there's another one out here. So we started going up and down again, looking on that brake line. Never found another fish. Never found another arch. We got the one arch. I don't know. Weird stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Just work. Don't give up. Just keep going at it. Just keep pounding on it. Work at
You
it.
always just fish them jigging wraps vertically, or do you ever throw all like an
I throw 'em
outside
out.
and, you know, pull them back and stuff like that, or how do you fish them?
My friend Mike is better at the vertical jigging. Me, I'm better at throwing it, and I got a better rhythm coming back. He's got a better, and he can do it too, but he does a lot of vertical jigging. He can hit it. I don't know how he does it. I get him occasionally, but I got to
Do you use
keep that thing
fives,
moving.
or you just use
Sevens,
and nines?
sevens and nines.
You don't use fives,
No,
okay?
no. I had a
Fives
nice
look really
experience.
good.
Huh?
Fives look really good. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. That's fine.
I'm not going to argue with a guy that says he's done it. He's done it. He's done it.
Yes, the five.
I will go out and buy fives now.
They don't work. Especially the rainbow trout color, they don't work at all. Throw them all away.
The rainbow trouts? The one with the blue with the little yellow belly, and they got those little polka dots on them?
They say RT on them.
Okay.
Throw them ones away.
The,
Just cut them off your line.
the Detroit Lakes color? No, I tell you, I just have so much fun fishing. I just enjoy it so much. I grew up doing it, and I'm still doing it. Last year I did 184 fishing trips. It might have been 20 minutes running down to the lake or the river. I just had a little break. I live in Hawley, so going down to the Buffalo River or going down to Silver Lake, either one of those were within 6 minutes to get to. I go to Stump Lake, that's 12 minutes. I go down to Big Cormorant, that's 22 minutes. I've got this all planned out. I just love living out in Hawley. I'm so close to the beautiful water. I enjoy it.
So you got a big boat and a little boat then? Because in order to get in the stump, you gotta have a little boat.
I have a 17.5-foot tracker with 115. I haven't gone there lately. I heard it's way down.
Yeah.
And just get a longer four-wheel drive. I don't know, stretched out. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, anybody else have any more questions for Paul?
I will, you asked for those maps earlier. While we get done and other things start going on, I'll play with this. If you want to come sit up here while they're doing the raffle and stuff, I'll talk to you some more. I'll show you some more maps that I have. I'll take some more time. I'm not running out the door.
Everything except weather?
Yeah, I don't care.
So when you're
You can go there, but you gotta fish there, whatever they say.
so maybe somebody already asked this, but when you're mapping, right? When you're creating a map, how far are your paths apart?
That's where when you put the sonar, it's on the main menu down at the bottom. It's show trail or show. I can't think of it for the moment. It just shows something.
So it's
And it shows you how wide you're scanning. It's your down.
Okay.
It shows you your side scan path, and it shows you how wide it is. So then when you come back down the next way,
You can actually go from 20 feet to 50 feet out to 100 feet each way, right? You know?
oh, I've been on brake lines from shallow to deep. You know, just going along the brake lines, and you're reading everything.
Right.
And then yeah, it doesn't matter. You're reading, and then when I come back, I might be out a little farther off the brake line, but I'm just reading what's out there now. And then when I come out the next time, I come back through and I'm reading this. When I did Turtle Lake, I just started right from the launch, went through that little bay you start in, and went around the lake, all the way down to the far end, and back up, and hooked into the bay, and I just kept doing circles. I did donuts in that lake all day long. I think it took me 3.5 hours to get that lake done. I've got a good lake. You know, sometimes catching fish isn't always throwing a minnow in. Sometimes it's doing your homework. There's a lot there, and it makes you better later. You know, you give up some fishing time, you give up the time you're drowning the minnow. Other things I do is go to it ends up being the In-Fisherman store. You put in the In-Fisherman, go to their store, they've got a lot of DVDs. I bought I've got 2006, 2008 PWT tournament videos. I've got both those. I've got season 32, 3, 4, 5, missed 6. I've got 37. I've got all the TV shows from In-Fisherman. I've got probably close to 20 DVDs from the walleye section of their, if you look at their store, they got DVDs focusing on walleyes. I've bought at least 15, if not 20, of their walleyes. Deep down walleyes, live bait logic, some strategy, whatever. They got all their titles, but I bought a lot of those. In the winter, instead of watching certain TV shows, I watch my videos. I go upstairs, plug it in my computer. I start watching that stuff. You watch your YouTube videos. All these things are giving you information, making you smarter. Mike says he knows how to pull spinners, but he never took me spinner pulling. I had to figure it out myself. And I love pulling spinners. On Silver Lake, pull over the weed tops. When the weed tops hit the top of the water, just get outside the brake line and watch that brake line. I do it visually. I don't even watch my electronics anymore because I can see where the weeds end and then they start going down like this under the boat, and I'll just pull through there. I get big sunfish, 8-10 inch sunfish, a lot of them. And if you let a little more line out, try to get down and snag the tops of those cabbage out there, the weeds, you pull some walleyes out of there still. Or if you were watching my slides earlier, this other guy that was just kind of big and grumpy looking, that was a 29-inch walleye we caught on jig and gulp this spring out there in Silver, 29 inches. We let it go. I've got 2 of them that went 23 and a 24, and I had a couple others that were around 21, 22. There's big fish in Silver. There's big fish in every one of those little lakes out there.
What about Brewer? How you been doing on Brewer? Is Brewer kind of tailed off a little bit now?
I haven't gone to Brewer. Brewer, none of them. Boyer, I haven't gone there at all this year. I did last year. It was fun. We found a few spots. I'd like to research that more, but this is the tools I use. I want to tell you another little thing too that I got to interject. You know that I put a lot of time out there. You can see that I do. You can see that I have lots of maps, a lot of time, a lot of gas, a lot of money. I got myself what I say is the best trolling motor. I like the XI5. I like the motor guide. When I spot lock, I'm there and I don't move. This stuff of drifting off 20, 30 feet, drifting back in, drifting out. When I'm in a tournament, I'm sorry. When it's tournament time and you drifted off, we got enough feet, I might just jog my button over a couple more. And when your boat decides to come back in, you're too close. The rules of the tournament is you got to move, guy. I'm sorry. That might be dirty pool, and I don't do that too much, but when you get into some of these big ones and it's getting down there, you don't like the guy next to you. There's been a few guys that come into these tournaments, you don't like them. Nudge them out. I'm sorry. My XI5 can do it. I don't know. I don't want to be mean to anybody, but there's times when you've spent a lot of money to be on a spot, and your boat can hold its own. That's when I do it. So I don't know. I better quit.
Yeah, Kyle runs one of them too, and
They're fabulous.
I was really surprised.
Yeah, they make a difference. When you go into these little spots like this is probably from jogging over here. 1, 2, 3. I've got about 3 or 4 spots I sat on. This is one spot, and it'll stay like that. But if I get over here and I think I need to jog, I can jog out. If I need to go that way, I can jog that way. I just keep jogging around. This is the difference between, that's staying on your spot within 5 feet. That's tight. If I was to blow that up and you were able to look at that, you'd see the difference in an XI5. It makes a difference. That's more money that I invested to protect my investment.
Yeah, we were in Franklin, first league event of the year.
Oh yeah.
We were in Kyle's boat, and I'm a tiller guy. Anybody knows me knows I'm a tiller guy, and I'll swear by a big tiller any day. I'll put up a big tiller against a console any day of the week. And we got out this spot, and it was blowing pretty hard on Franklin, and we got right on this point, and Kyle hits a spot lock, and I'm like,
you guys didn't budge. You guys were on the fish, and you didn't budge.
There is like the Warrior over here, and there was a Lund over here, all back rollers, like 3 back rollers around us, and I'm like, we're screwed. And we sat right there on that spot, and we caught 3 fish right off that point. Nobody else caught any because they couldn't get to where we were because we sat right there. That made me a believer that day. Okay.
This is the walleye that I was casting off the shore here. That's the first walleye that I ever caught of any significant size. I probably at that point, maybe I got a 20-inch. I probably could almost count the walleyes in my lifetime prior to this time in September of 2010. And this is off the shore on a walleye dive. And after I caught that one, I should ask my wife, wasn't it 2 days later, honey, that I went out there and I got another one of these? And this one's nice. The other one I got was even bigger. I don't know what in the world he had been, if this is the difference between a male and a female. This is long and tubular all the way down. Then one I got the next day was like this, but he came down more in a V to the tail, so they were very close. This one went 9 pounds on the scale, and it was just a gorgeous fish. And that was, that's what I attribute my walleye career to. I found something wonderful, and I enjoyed it, and I wanted to do it again.
Looks like there's a little gray in your beard back then, too.
Yeah, I had to shave it off tonight. It's still there. That was the old days.
All right, we got 8 more.
I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Oh.
Everybody, let's give them a round of applause.